involved in some sort of illegal trade. One thing that seems to support this idea was the fact that Marshall had just recently paid off his truck, but his family could not account for what he'd been doing for work. You see, something that many people forget is the fact that storage units are often a hotspot for storing substances. They are often seen as a neutral territory because everything is under surveillance.
Thank you.
Things can still be moved to and from as long as they're disguised. When it comes to the transport of these items over long distances, usually you see some sort of concealment device to remain inconspicuous if the person gets pulled over. Notably, hollowed-out electronics are a pretty common concealment device, and both a hollowed-out Xbox shell and PlayStation shell was found in Marshall's truck. Additionally, I should also point out that coolers are often another common concealment device, usually in the lining of the cooler. Now, as far as the smashed electronics go, the family has given some clarifying statements.
So there was also a laptop that was found out around his vehicle, right? Was it in good enough shape to be analyzed?
They gave us information that
This is
the
good.
police had looked into
I will plant
it.
these seeds in
When
special
it
soil I
hadn't been
have
used for
prepared.
a while.
I believe the seeds will sprout
Like a
into
few
timberling.
years, and I think from the
Adventurer,
timeline
that's
of
a
it,
lot.
I had thought that maybe it was one that we'd given him a long time ago.
Okay.
And my understanding of that laptop
That's
too
a
is that
lot.
it had fallen
I'm
in.
afraid they're spreading at a dangerous rate. I hope I
Even
can
before it
solve
was
the
found
riddle
outside of
of
the
what is
truck.
tainting them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for your help,
And the thing with some
adventurer.
of those phones
The land
too
is a cleaner
is
place from your
I know that there was
efforts.
articles that they were like smashed or broken, and that also wouldn't surprise me if those were the phones that Marshall had broken and had just left his truck.
Beyond that, I should state that the police work on this case is a bit of a mystery, and in and of itself, I'm not sure what to make of it. Assuming we're sticking with the initial theory that the two men were involved in some sort of running, you may view the actions from the beginning as a tactic used to not spook a greater inquiry into organized crime. But if that were the case, you wouldn't expect this back and forth between the family and the authorities. Marshall's family claims there's been no such follow-through and that authorities have dragged their feet and ignored key pieces of evidence. Recall that it took authorities 9 months to conduct a simple fire investigation, and this detail to me in no way, shape, or form supports the idea of a hidden inquiry. It seems to suggest the mishandling of a case. Marshall's brother-in-law explained to me that the reason they never released the cooler photo was that there was for a time the impression that this side of the story was being looked into, but over time it seems that opinion was shifted. While this is obviously my attempt to piece together the available information, at the end of the day, two men are still missing. A car is still sitting in the woods, and both families are still without any answers. While obviously I'd love to know what you guys think about all of this, this is Barely Sociable, and have a good night.
It was interesting. Yeah. What else has he done? Dark Side of Antarctica from 9 months ago. Yeah, I watched this iPhone trafficking one. It was super good. Yeah, the death claws and all that. Yeah, they can just completely replicate you. I watched a bunch of his stuff. I like his stuff. Yeah, I've forgotten about this guy. Who's the glitter industry's largest buyer? That's a funny one. Let's listen to this one that he did that I missed, The Dark Side of Antarctica.
Today's video is brought to you by Babbel. To put it simply, there are very few things in life that are guaranteed. The first is death, the next are taxes, and the third is if you mispronounce a word in a YouTube video, people will leave comments reminding you until the end of time. But that's okay.
The epitome of
From
refectory.
being someone who mispronounces things on the internet, it's that language is one of those things that you truly never stop learning.
Nope.
So why not learn a second one? With Babbel's curriculum, they can get you speaking a new language within as little as 3 weeks. And 15 hours in their app has been shown through various efficacy studies to be equivalent to a full college semester. According to the most recent statistics, the average person spends around 3 hours on their phone every single day. So there's really no reason to think that learning a new language is out of reach at all anymore. And you see, the key to learning a new language is speaking a new language, which is why Babbel caters their lessons to real-life conversation, and why they get you speaking from the very beginning. And when it comes to learning anything, úsalo o piérdelo. Si quieres aprender algo, debes practicar. Y con el año nuevo, es un tiempo perfecto para aprender un idioma nuevo. So rather than take on any kind of student loan to learn a language, you can instead get a link in the description of this video to receive a 60% off your Babbel subscription. courtesy of Babbel to viewers of this channel, risk-free. Because with Babbel, they offer a 20-day guarantee because they know their curriculum will put you on the right track. So, gracias otra vez to Babbel for making this video possible. No matter where you live, some crime is going to be an inevitability. And while crime overall is rare in places like Antarctica, it's definitely not an exception to this rule. In this isolated and cold environment, there's little use for money, so it's very uncommon for there to be any sort of theft or robbery. On the other hand, however, isolation in such a remote place is known to have some highly negative psychological effects, often leading to individuals committing an act that they would otherwise never do. According to psychologist Peter Sudfeld of the University of British Columbia, living at a research station in Antarctica can be incredibly stressful. If you're stuck there with somebody you really can't stand, too bad. You're stuck with them. And if you're missing somebody who's far away, too bad. You're stuck without them. Some people thrive by developing a sense of solidarity and teamwork. Others may become depressed and change their behavior. To quote an article from Canadian Geographic, Antarctic stations can be a dull place to live. They're designed to minimize construction costs rather than keep people amused, interested, and comfortable. And extreme weather can make stepping outside for a change of scenery difficult, dangerous, or impossible. In one notable example from 1959, a fight broke out at the Vostok Research Center between two individuals over a game of chess. This caused one individual to attack the other with an ice axe.
Why?
And as is commonplace with these incidents in Antarctica, the details are murky. Some sources say the attack was fatal, while others say it was not. After a KGB investigation, chess was subsequently banned in all Russian stations on the continent.
Oh, wow. They're like, it's the game's fault that this guy clocked the other guy with an axe. And chess gets harder.
The environment is known for testing an individual's morality. To quote one article from the Spokesman Review, Finn Ron, a Norwegian immigrant who was the leader of a private American winter expedition to Stonington Island, barely escaped being killed in the 1940s, according to the group's doctor. Dr. Don McLean, frustrated with Ron's authoritarianism and iron discipline, barely restrained himself from pushing Ron off a cliff when the two of them inspected birds' nests on a nearby island. He was quoted as saying, "I never came so close to killing anybody in my life."
What?
Similarly, during the 1950s, a resident of Australia's Mawson Base in Antarctica had become so deranged and violent he essentially had to spend the winter locked inside that facility's storage room. With little to keep the mind entertained, problems such as alcoholism are commonplace on the continent, occasionally leading to violence in other situations that would have normally been averted sober. Within a health and safety audit of the Arctic program in 2015, it was estimated that 60 to 75% of all disciplinary action within the stations was related to alcohol misuse, where NSF officials acknowledged that the abuse of the substance on the continent had led to flights, indecent exposure, and employees often arriving to their jobs under the influence. But this isn't just limited to American research stations either.
No.
In 2009, a video surfaced online from the Sajon station of South Korea. Within the footage, it shows a drunken station worker attacking a chef until a colleague steps in to break it up. This employee was obviously fired. But perhaps the most infamous example of a drunken rage at an Arctic station came from 2018. When an intoxicated 54-year-old electrical engineer named Sergei Savitsky stabbed 52-year-old welder Oleg Belaguzov after an emotional
God damn it, I
breakdown.
can't see.
The cause of this outburst? Oleg had been allegedly spoiling the ends of books Sergei had been checking out from the station's library. As a result, Oleg would be sent to a hospital in Chile where
don't disrespect me. It's the don't disrespect thing. Like, you can disrespect people to a degree until it's one too many, and then it's just over, and then they just kill you. That you can't disrespect human beings. Got to watch out for them.
Surprisingly,
They'll tell you what they care about, and if you violate that, they're gonna be like, oh well, I gotta kill you now. Humans are fucked up. You want to stay away from them, not away, but stay out of their path. Stay out of their path.
Forgive his attacker legally. Within neuroscientific literature, the link between isolation and cognitive decline is more than just speculation. Isolation often precedes cognitive decline for individuals who are elderly and alone. And in a variety of other studies, it has been shown that there are physiological changes to the brain structure. Within one study that followed a crew of 9 stationed in the Antarctic, they found that within 14 months, an average volume loss of 7.2% was noted within the hippocampus of each of the crew. For reference, the hippocampus is associated with spatial memory, learning, and general long-term memory. Individuals who have damage or atrophy to the hippocampus often display mood dysfunction. They have difficulty storing memories. They may get lost in familiar areas. And additionally, they may have problems following directions. And they are noted to also have issues with key decision-making. Generally speaking, you'd only expect to see changes this drastic in individuals suffering from something like Alzheimer's or PTSD, which makes these results rather shocking, as it highlights the required mental fortitude to endure assignments in the Antarctic. And for some, the circumstances are just simply too much. The original Almirante Brown station on the Contry Peninsula was burned down in 1984 by the station's doctor after he was ordered to stay for the winter.
Wow.
While details are sparse, this protest was
Yeah, fuck
apparently
this, I'm not
well thought
staying
out,
here.
and it seemed to put the entire group in harm's way. Had it not been for the aptly named ship, Hero, and its crew rescuing the group, their act of rebellion would have likely been their last. When it comes to pressing charges for a crime in Antarctica, generally speaking, it's the job of the home country to investigate their own. This was signed into law alongside the Antarctic Treaty of 1959. But generally speaking, though, it's rare that law enforcement gets involved or any major investigation occurs. In one rare circumstance in 1996, a fight broke out
who pays for that?
between 2 individuals, resulting in one worker attacking the other
McMurdo.
with a hammer. This incident marked the first time that the FBI had been involved in a case involving the Antarctic. Despite this fact, however, like usual, very few details about the case were ever divulged.
Of course
which,
not.
if you haven't noticed by now, seems to be a very common theme. This theme gets a hell of a lot more disturbing when you factor in just how open of an issue SA has been on the continent. So much so that in 2022, the NSF openly acknowledged the problem with a 274-page report, citing the issues of SA harassment and stalking as ongoing and continuous. In one disturbing quote, one woman revealed that on her first day at McMurdo Station, she was told to stay clear of the building unless she wanted to be.
What? Stay clear of building
This report also points to another situation where a woman had become so perturbed, she had begun carrying around a hammer as a part of her day-to-day. And if you read further, this appears to be a common practice at McMurdo Station.
People carry around a weapon.
Within a survey of individuals within the program, 72% of women agreed that this issue was widespread, while nearly 50% of males agreed as well. And given these statistics, you'd expect a few charges to pop up. But disturbingly, it appears that most of these things just get swept under the rug.
NPR's Joe Palca has been reading through the 273-page report and is here in the studio to tell us about it. Hey, Joe.
Hey, Ari.
What are some of the revelations from the report?
Well, one of the things that jumps out at you is how pervasive this problem seems to be. They quoted one of the people they interviewed as saying, every woman I know down there has had an assault or harassment experience that occurred on ice. On ice is what they call working down there. And this is a sentiment that they heard from many, many different people. The report also said that many people didn't trust the officials they were supposed to report to when they had a problem because they thought, A, there might be reprisals, or B, they were thinking that these people were more interested in protecting the agencies than protecting the people.
Is there something about working in Antarctica that makes this more of a problem?
Well, I've been to Antarctica, and it's very remote. And even though the internet has made it smaller, it's just not a place that you can walk down the street and see anybody. Much of the year, these bases are totally inaccessible. The sun disappears for months in the winter, and that means the staff doesn't have anywhere to go, anyone to talk to. I spoke with Madeline Nash. She's an associate dean at the Australia National University. She studies harassment in Australia's Antarctic program.
You're so isolated and so detached from the sort of normal rules of society that often makes it, sort of, for lack of a better word, it makes it easier to get away with inappropriate behavior that probably would be condoned, back in normal life.
So imagine if it's your supervisor doing the harassing, it's not like you go down the hall and complain. That supervisor might be thousands of miles away.
Has a problem like this been documented before?
Well, Nash says many people who worked in Antarctica know it's an ongoing issue.
Given the strange legal circumstances on the continent and the apparent isolation, it's pretty clear that what happens in Antarctica stays in Antarctica. And this issue of maintaining law and order gets even more chaotic when you hypothetically throw out a scenario where you have two people working at the same base from two different home countries. Given the stipulations of the Antarctic Treaty, a matter of foul play would potentially become an issue of international diplomacy. Throughout the years, there remains one case that encapsulates these issues perfectly. The year is 2000, and the story takes place at the South Pole. Working
Thank
there
the
during this
forest
time
spirit
was
you
an
are
Australian
here.
astrophysicist
I knew
named
Readers would
Rodney
sense trouble
Marks,
and
a
send
man
help.
who was dedicated to his
The
job,
Gnarlpine
but known
tribe
for
has been
having
corrupted.
a rock and roll
The
exterior,
once
according to
peaceful
colleagues.
furballs have turned against the protectors of the forest.
His fiancée, Sonia Walter, took a job as a maintenance specialist at the same Antarctic station so she could be there with him. Rodney had been working at the Amundsen Scott South Pole Research Station. He was a part of the University of Chicago's Antarctic Submillimeter Telescope and Remote Observatory Project, also known as ASTRO for short. The Amundsen Scott South Pole Station is run by the National Science Foundation, a U.S. government entity, though some of the work is subcontracted to the aerospace company Raytheon Polar Services. By all accounts, Rodney had done quite well at his job, with coworkers praising his abilities throughout his time there. He was also known for going above and beyond, teaching an astronomy class on the side at the station, which included students from all sorts of backgrounds. It was clear that Rodney had a passion for life, but unfortunately, it would not be long before his own life would be cut short. By May of 2000, Rodney had been working at Astro for about a year, and on May 11th, he was walking between the remote observatory and the base when he began to feel unwell. His breathing was labored, his vision was weakened, and upon arriving back at the base, he went to bed early, hoping whatever was going on would clear up as he slept. However, at 5:30 the next morning, as he lay next to Sonia, he woke up with a terrible burn in his stomach and found himself vomiting blood. From here, he would make his first visit to the station's doctor, Robert Thompson, who, not knowing what was wrong with him and had no contact with the outside world for advice, told him to warn. Rodney would come back a second time later that day with worsening symptoms. The burn that was in his stomach just continued to get worse, and his eyes had become so sensitive that he needed to wear sunglasses. Dr. Thompson noted that Rodney had become agitated, and as he could not pin down a single cause for the patient's symptoms,
Your body looks worn and your spirit weary.
administered a
Rest
sedative.
yourself beneath our
Rodney
roof
returned
and
to
allow
bed,
Elune to
resting
guide your
longer.
dreams.
But his symptoms only continued to worsen. By the third time Rodney visited the doctor, he was so distressed, he was hyperventilating and convulsing. Dr. Thompson injected Rodney with an antipsychotic called Haldol in order to regain control of him. He lay back and his breathing slowed, and it
He
seemed,
died.
at first, as if he was getting better. But unfortunately, Rodney went into cardiac arrest shortly after. The station's trauma team was summoned, and after 45 minutes of unsuccessful resuscitation attempts, Dr. Thompson declared Rodney dead at 6:45 p.m.
Your body looks worn and your spirit weary. Rest yourself beneath our roof and allow Elune to guide your dreams.
Initially, it was thought that Rodney had died of natural causes.
Like a
Unfortunately,
cat
the
dragged in from the
investigation
rain,
would be
you
several months
scratch
before
and
Rodney's
claw,
body could
then
be
do it
flown to
all
New
over
Zealand for
again.
an autopsy.
I'll be back for more.
In the interim,
I didn't see you
Rodney's
enter,
remains were put in the
adventurer.
body
What
bag
can I
and
do
stored
for
in a
you?
cold area. However, some of his coworkers thought he deserved a more dignified resting place until his body could be transported. So several of them worked together to create a casket, and then they held a ceremony at the South Pole.
Creepy.
Once Rodney was finally flown out of the continent to the mainland, the circumstances surrounding his death would be cast in a completely different light. A post-mortem examination easily determined that the cause of death was methanol poisoning.
Methanol.
Also known as wood alcohol, is a solvent that, despite its name, is definitely not meant to be ingested. Taking in as little as 10 milliliters of methanol can cause permanent blindness, and a dose of 30 milliliters is fatal. Yet Rodney, shockingly, had consumed an estimated 150 milliliters of methanol. 150 milliliters is effectively the same as a small wine glass, and many people who discuss this case bring this detail up. The question, of course, was how this chemical got into Rodney's body in the first place. While there was noted to have been large amounts of methanol at the base as a part of their cleaning supplies, there was no clear reason why he would have consumed this much. And at the time, Rodney Marks' situation posed a very unique set of circumstances that had never really been experienced in the same way. To back things up for a moment, Rodney Marks was an Australian citizen and New Zealand native. He was working at a United States research facility. Given the multi-jurisdictional environment, getting any kind of true investigation would be next to impossible. Because, as fate would have it, the NSF and Raytheon would stonewall any kind of investigation into the matter. As the investigation would run its course from the New Zealand end, they would hit roadblock after roadblock as their opposition tried to bury the Marks case every chance they got. For one, an initial physician's report was submitted in July of 2000, and it claimed, quote, "There is no evidence to point to homicide, accidental poisoning, environmental toxicity, or infection." Yet somehow they had magically come to this conclusion and drafted a report before an actual autopsy had even been carried out. And additionally, it would take the New Zealand investigation 3 years just to get the names of the people who were working at the base at the time, as the NSF and Raytheon would not provide that information. Then, when the detective finally got his hands on the names, Raytheon and the NSF only agreed to distribute a questionnaire to their employees after they got to curate which questions were allowed. Furthermore, they heavily emphasized to their employees that the questionnaire was optional. As a result, only 13 of Rodney's coworkers out of the 49 would actually respond, which is rather jarring when, by all accounts, everybody liked Rodney. Furthermore, as the investigation unfolded, New Zealand's coroner was blocked multiple times from getting any kind of additional interview with the doctor that had treated Rodney. But that being said, the final coroner's report was released to the public in 2008, concluding that there was no evidence to support, well, anything. And ultimately, no verdict was reached as to what caused his death, leaving us to only speculate.
Hello, adventurer. If you'd like to learn a thing or two about cooking, please visit me at any time. Long ago, the Night Elves were called the Kaldore, a name that means children of the stars.
Now, as we
Learning of
dive
the
into
past
theories
is an
about what may
important
have
step
happened
in
to
your
Rodney,
path as an
I'll say that theorizing about this incident is
So
rather
listen
tricky,
well to what I have
given
to
the
tell
murky
you.
details and lack
Calvary
of
have always
cooperation
taken
from
much
involved
pride in
parties.
our harmonious
It's pretty much
relationship
just
with
pure
nature.
speculation.
This means that we only take from nature what is necessary, and that we
The first
return
theory
in
that often
kind.
gets thrown out in
This
regards to
balance has
discussion of this
afforded us
case
much
is this
adventure.
idea that Rodney
Go out and collect
unintentionally
7
drank the
small
methanol
spider
as a
legs.
result of
No
brewing
more
his own
than that.
moonshine.
Gonna have a cup of
While it's
tea
true
here.
the station had its own
I'll
distillery,
be right back.
apparently this distillery was tested and came back negative for methanol. I would posit that it's much more likely that if this were an accident, Rodney just mixed up 2 bottles on his desk, as he was known to have quite a dirty workspace. But I'll add, it's one thing to take just a sip, as opposed to consuming an entire glass. The other key person of interest in regards to this case was Dr. Robert Thompson, the man who treated Rodney. Some of his actions were very questionable, such as injecting him with Haldol, whereupon shortly after, Rodney passed away. To quote an article from Men's Journal, while Marx lay dying, his potential lifeline was sitting dormant in the corner of the room. An Ectochem blood analyzer, its single tiny lithium-ion battery had died, and therefore the machine lost its calibration every time it was turned off. Once turned back on, it took 9 hours to recalibrate. Thompson had known about the malfunction, even reported it to Raytheon, but for some reason never attempted to fix it and decided against simply leaving it on. It was by no means a necessary piece of equipment in the physician's day-to-day duties, but it was there for a reason. Emergencies just like this one. Raytheon and the NSF obviously refused to cooperate, but that appears to be a part of a larger pattern of behavior when it comes to questionable incidents happening in the South Pole. While investigators were skeptical of intentional poisoning, if this were some contrived plot, one can only question the motivation. But obviously, when you factor in all the other outbursts that have happened at various stations in the past over the tiniest things, it certainly opens the door of possibility. Another thing that comes off as odd is that Rodney's coworkers reported after his death that he was well liked, but it seems that only 13 of them cooperated with the investigation in any way. And it's definitely surprising to read up on this case and not see a single statement from someone like the fiancé. While she did give evidence at the hearings, she has refused to give interviews about Rodney's death, but in a rare exception in 2004, she admitted she had returned to a job at Palmer Research Station, where her job, ironically enough, was keeping track of chemicals and cleaning equipment used on base. And perhaps the final strange detail that's never really fully been settled is the fact that there were various needle marks that were found on Rodney's arm. Well, we know at least one mark could have come from the doctor. Multiple? Once again, there's a hell of a lot more questions than we have answers. This is barely sociable. Have a good night.
It was really good. Antarctica weird stories, huh? Bottom of the rabbit hole iceberg explained. By Parallel Pipes. Let's see. I've never heard of this guy, so what's up, Parallel Pipes? I'd like to sub to your channel. Let's listen to what he has to say. The bottom of the
rabbit hole iceberg. Google defines a rabbit hole as a bizarre, confusing, or nonsensical situation, and this iceberg chart has a lot of that going on. I think people watch iceberg videos because they want to know about the weird stuff at the bottom, so that's just what we're going to talk about today. We're going to be talking about Osama bin Laden's hard drive, devourment, hidden answers, hyper sigils, global mind, tunnels, it just says tunnels, cannibal cafe, fighting monarch, and much, much more. There sure is more than that. I gotta say a couple things things first before we get into this. First of all, I'm not going to go super in depth into all of these entries. You could probably make an entire video about any single one of these entries, but I'm just going to give you a quick rundown of each entry and mention the most important elements of it. Also, there are a couple entries on here that there's really no way I can talk about them on YouTube. I really do want to talk about everything here, but I don't want to risk this video getting flagged. Also, any of these entries that I've covered in a previous video, I'm not going to cover them here too. You're not missing out on anything. You know me, I'm using Minecraft Death Run B-roll footage. It'll help lighten the mood while we talk about God's ego death. There's a lot of weird stuff on the bottom, and while doing research for this video, I found myself on some of the weirdest parts of the internet and darknet. And while browsing these weird parts of the internet, it's incredibly important for me to keep my online identity anonymous and to keep my personal information safe. And that's why I use a VPN, and that leads us to today's sponsor, NordVPN. Did you know that if you don't use a VPN, pretty much all of your internet activity can be traced back to your device? This is true. Your internet service provider can see records of all of your internet activity. It doesn't matter what you look up, it doesn't matter if you use an incognito tab or not. And on top of that, it's surprisingly easy for malicious websites and bad actors to track you by monitoring your internet traffic. Really, the only way to effectively protect your privacy online is by using a VPN, such as NordVPN. What NordVPN does is it encrypts all of your internet traffic. And since your internet traffic is now encrypted, your internet service provider cannot tell what you're doing online anymore, and it's essentially impossible for malicious websites and bad actors to track you. And downloading and using NordVPN is also very simple and straightforward. You simply download the app onto your iPhone, Android, Mac, or PC, just launch the app, sign in, and hit Quick Connect, and you'll be automatically connected to a server that will effectively protect your online identity. If you go to nordvpn.com/parallelpipes, you can get a special deal where you'll get an exclusive deal on a 2-year plan and have a 30-day money-back guarantee. Or you could just go into the description of the video and click that link to get that deal. Now that that's out of the way, it's time to go to the bottom. Let's get into it. Nasubi. Okay, so excuse my pronunciation, but Sasuna Denpa Shonen was a Japanese reality television show that ran between 1998 and 2002. The show was known for having contestants go through extreme and sadistic challenges. The contestants on the show were usually these unknown comedians who wanted to get on the show and do whatever it took to get attention and get famous. Upon comedians submitting an application to this show, they would be randomly selected to do some sort of challenge, but they were never told what this challenge was until it was time to do it. And so there was this one comedian who went by the name of Nasubi. Nasubi is eggplant in Japanese. Apparently people think he looks like an eggplant. I don't know. And once he was selected, he was forced to live in an apartment naked for over a year until he accumulated 1 million yen worth of prizes he earned through mail-in sweepstakes. So basically he was put into an apartment completely naked, and they gave him a bunch of magazines, and all of these magazines had mail-in sweepstakes in them that you could fill out, and he had to fill out these mail-in sweepstakes until he won 1 million yen worth of prizes from these sweepstakes. It took him 335 days of just sitting around and filling out these magazine sweepstakes for him to win 1 million yen worth of prizes. And even after he met that 1 million yen threshold, he was sent to another location to continue the challenge for even longer. Throughout his time doing this, you can see his hair grow out, and he loses a ton of weight, and it seems like he progressively gets more crazy. Reportedly, the only food he was allowed to eat during this challenge was food he won through the sweepstakes, so he ended up eating things like dog food and soda and uncooked rice for a year. Of course, this was a television show, so it's hard to tell how much of it was real, but you can very clearly see this guy lose a lot of weight, and he grows his hair out, and he acts weirder and weirder as time goes on. And there were interviews with this guy after the show was over, and he said that the challenge had some like long-term mental effects on him. He said that his time spent doing this challenge completely ruined his social skills because he was just in solitude for over a year, and he was really bothered by wearing clothes afterwards because he got so used to it. ThisPersonDoesn'tExist.com. This entry is referring to this website that uses AI to generate completely unique faces. As the name of the website suggests, these aren't pictures of actual people's faces, these are AI-generated faces. Every time you reload the page, you get a new and unique face that's never before existed. In short, the way this website works is, this website uses an algorithm developed by NVIDIA called StyleGAN, and this algorithm is fed a huge data set of pictures of people's faces, and over time this algorithm is able to use these pictures of people's faces to understand what the underlying structure of a person's face is, and then based on this understanding it can generate completely new and unique faces. Most of the time these faces look so legitimate it's hard to believe that they're not real, but every once in a while you'll get one that's Yeah, that's not quite right. There's also a bunch of offshoot websites that are like this. For example, there's this cat does not exist, this rental does not exist, this waifu does not exist, this foot does not exist. This is a picture of some AI-generated feet from this foot does not exist.
I get scared to watch
It's kinda
these.
weird and gross, so I'm gonna blur it.
Because
I'm
this is
not
what
gonna
I
show
always
pictures of
suspect happens,
uncensored
but then they confirm it.
AI-generated feet on my channel. I'll let you look this up yourself if you want to, for whatever reason that may be. Posidism. Posidism is a fringe ideology. Posidism mainly looks to push communism, but there's also some other weird beliefs within the ideology. Probably one of the most notable and prominent aspects of Posidism
Your skill has increased.
Posidism is actually pro-nuclear war. The reason for this is the founder of this ideology, Posidas, argued that nuclear war is inevitable. Like, we're eventually going to go to nuclear war at some point, no matter what. And so we should just start a nuclear war to get it over with, because he believed that after a nuclear war and after the nuclear fallout, it was certain that a communist society would rise from the ashes and go on to run and rule the world. And so he believed we should just get it over with and go to nuclear war because it would bring the rise to communism across the world. Him, 1974. Okay,
Yeah, I
can't
mean,
go too in-depth
if
on
the
this video on
world's
YouTube,
destroyed,
but
we'll be forced to share with each other in the caves that are left after the nuclear fallout. It will be forced to, like, you know, be around people we don't know and all this stuff, you know. And he's right, it'll probably become communist because there won't be a government. That'll all be dead.
to put it plainly, this is a film about a man who is attracted to Jesus Christ in a manner that's not very Christian-like, if you catch my drift. As the name suggests, the film was released in 1974, but as of right now, it's actually a piece of lost media. Some posters and advertisements of this film still exist, and there's accounts of people watching this film, and even the actor who played Jesus Christ in the film has been found. But as far as documentation goes, no one has seen this film since 1976. Cantelmoism. So Chris Cantelmo is a pretty interesting guy. Reportedly, he graduated from Yale University after studying biochemistry and biophysics, and he worked as the president for a pretty big medical company called GL Sciences. The timeline of events relating to this guy are pretty hazy. As the story goes, though, reportedly, at some point in the 2010s, Chris Cantelmo was diagnosed with brain cancer, but after the diagnosis, Chris Cantelmo claimed that he was able to use DMT to cure his brain cancer. Just so we're on the same page here, DMT is a drug that's typically used recreationally for its hallucinogenic effects, and there is little to no evidence that suggests it can be used to cure brain cancer. However, following Chris Cantelmo believing that he cured his brain cancer with DMT, he started a religion revolving around DMT that he called Cantelmoism. Chris Cantelmo had a website called Cantelmoism where he outlines some of the beliefs of this religion he started. According to Chris Cantelmo's website, he started pushing the idea that DMT would allow people to see the true nature of the universe.
No,
and
don't do a
connect
lot
with
of
God and
DMT,
see
no.
aliens and unlock their brain's true power. He
No.
even started pushing the idea that people with health conditions like schizophrenia were actually geniuses created by God, and they're kind of born to be the leaders of humanity. And this is because he says conditions like schizophrenia cause people to have an overabundance of DMT in their brain. Eventually, Chris
Oh my
Cantelmo
God.
started going on Reddit to spread and propagate his religion. The way he tried going about spreading and propagating his religion on Reddit is he would go to subreddits like r/DMT and r/teen and go to posts that he liked and give away huge amounts of Reddit awards. Reddit awards don't really do anything except look cool. Some of them will give you Reddit premium for a while, but that's about it. Basically, what people think Chris Cantelmo was doing, though, is he was going onto Reddit and giving away huge amounts of Reddit awards to kind of win people over to join his religion and to make people like him. Some people estimate that he spent upwards of $100,000 giving away these awards on various subreddits. Over time, though, by giving away these huge amounts of Reddit awards, Chris Cantelmo was actually able to get quite a few people to follow his religion. He was actually gaining followers to the point where people were starting to accuse him of running a cult, or even dedicated subreddits to Cantelmoism that started showing up, like r/Cantelmoism and r/Children of Chris, and a couple other ones too. Over time, though, within Cantelmoism, Chris became an increasingly more unhinged leader, and people started to catch on to how crazy he really was.
I needed to get your attention.
And so Cantelmoism was actually pretty short-lived because many of the followers of the religion realized that they probably didn't want to be associated with Chris. And a lot of the people who followed Cantelmoism didn't actually believe in any of the ideas. They just liked receiving Reddit awards from Chris. And on occasion, Chris would give money to his followers, and so a lot of people stuck around for that too. After Chris Cantelmo started losing followers, he was reportedly found dead in June of 2019. He was found dead on a hiking trail with a laceration on his neck. Most reports say his death was self-inflicted, but also some people have started a conspiracy that he was killed by Big Pharma because they knew Chris Cantelmo was onto something with his DMT ideology. Like, Chris Cantelmo was right about DMT being able to
I've heard
cure
some
brain
DMT
cancer and
rumblings.
solve all your problems, and Big Pharma didn't
They
want
call it
people
the
to know
God
that.
particle, I think. It's like kind of fucked up. And yeah, that guy's crazy, but I'm not so sure they're wrong about DMT, however, how strong it might actually be. I don't think it does anything, but I think it's a strong substance that's like unknown and not very well understood. I've done DMT several times. Pretty fun, but it's not something I would do a lot. You can feel your brain cells die when you're using it.
So they sent a hit out on him and killed him. The cure for insomnia. So there was a guy by the name of David Lee Corbin, and he was a pretty prominent artist in the Chicago art scene through the 1970s and 80s. And probably the most prominent and well-known piece of work from him is a poem he made called "The Cure for Insomnia," and it was over 5,000 pages long.
Oh,
It's
come
often referred
on.
to as his life's work. This poem was about ancient ancestries and cultures. Back in 1987, he decided to make a film out of this poem. In this film, that was also called "The Cure for Insomnia," he reads off this poem, and the film is 87 hours long. At the time of its
What?
release, it was recognized as the Guinness World Record's longest film. Ever since the initial showing of this film at the School of Art Institute in Chicago, this film has been completely missing. So this is also a piece of lost media. 136 creepy Wikipedia articles. This entry is just referring to a website that lists off 136 different Wikipedia articles that are creepy. There's quite a few pretty interesting Wikipedia articles on this page. This page features such classics as the Popelic Monster, serial killer stan accounts. Within recent years, true crime shows and true crime podcasts have grown a lot in popularity. And alongside this growth, there's also been the emergence of stan accounts for the serial killers oftentimes covered in these true crime shows. We're talking about stan accounts for like Ted Bundy or Charles Manson. There's examples of these stan accounts existing on Tumblr and Twitter and other
Stan
social media
accounts?
platforms. Of course, a lot of these stan accounts are ironic, but there is a small subset of these accounts that are legitimately standing Ted Bundy, for example. The first message written to the internet was LOL. So depending on how you look at it, this is kind of true. The internet as we use it and know it today has its origins in something called ARPANET. ARPANET started in 1969, and it was a network of computers connected between universities across the United States. And the very first message sent over ARPANET was from Leonard Kleinrock, who was a professor of computer science at UCLA. As the story goes, he was trying to send the message log in over this network, but as he was typing in the letters LO, the system crashed. But once the system booted back up, he went back to trying to message the term login. So the next letter he wrote was L. And so some people look at this situation and go, well, technically the first letters ever typed on the internet were L, O, and then followed by another L. Dogon
Yeah.
tribe. The Dogon are an ethnic group that are indigenous to
Sounds
Africa,
like humanity
and
to
they reside
me.
on the central plateau of Mali, and throughout much of their history, they have had very little contact with any outside groups. This group has a lot of interesting cultural practices that this entry might be referencing, but what I think this entry is most likely referring to is their surprising knowledge of the galaxy. So there was this French anthropologist by the name of Marcel Gurriel who went on many field missions to study
Your
and
skill has
document the
increased.
Dogon people. On his expedition in 1946, he reported that after speaking to some elders within the tribe, the elders informed the anthropologist that the people of the Dogon tribe were aware that the brightest star in the night sky has a secondary star orbiting around it. What's kind of off-putting about this is the brightest star in the night sky actually does have a secondary star orbiting around it. The brightest star in the night sky is called Sirius, and although you can't see it with the naked eye from Earth, it has a secondary star orbiting around it that nowadays is referred to as Sirius B. What makes this situation situation kind of weird is no one can figure out how the people of the Dogon tribe were able to discover that Sirius has a secondary star orbiting around it. There is no evidence of the Dogon people having access to technologies like telescopes, and without technology like telescopes, there's really no way they could have made this discovery on their own. And so this has led to the theory that the Dogon people at some point were in contact with an extraterrestrial civilization that taught them about the galaxy and the Sirius star system. At this point, most modern anthropologists don't believe this theory and don't believe that the Dogon were in contact with aliens. Instead, at this point, most modern anthropologists believe that despite the Dogon being isolated throughout much of their documented history, they still insist that there must have been some sort of undocumented group of Western expeditionists who met the Dogon and taught them about the Sirius star system from Western literature. User Spontaneous H. This entry is referring to a Reddit user who's been documenting his heroin journey since 2009. His very first post was made on the IMA subreddit in 2009, where he explained that one day, just kind of on a whim, he decided to do heroin. Like, he was leading a pretty successful and happy life. He felt like recently his life was kind of boring, so he just decided to take heroin. And he explains that it was one of the best feeling experiences of his life, and he learned a lot from the experience. But everyone should rest assured that he's never going to do heroin again, at least for a long time, because he knows how detrimental it can be. Well, lo and behold, 2 weeks later, he made another post where he basically describes himself now being addicted to heroin despite his efforts to avoid it. In this post, he describes himself now taking heroin for 2 to 3 days at a time, and then taking a break day, and then going back to 2 to 3 days at a time, and he can feel himself starting to get really addicted. He describes himself getting completely wrecked by the withdrawal symptoms of heroin. He says he can't stop throwing up and sweating and crying. His girlfriend broke up with him after she found out he did heroin, and his withdrawal symptoms are getting in the way of him working his job. Following this post, though, he disappeared from Reddit, only to come back a year later with a post that opens by saying, "I am a heroin/opioid/multi-substance addict with bipolar disorder, headed to rehab tomorrow because I didn't listen to Reddit. I OD'd 1 week ago and I am in a psych hospital. Ask me anything." In this post, he describes heroin destroying his life to such a degree that a year later he's found himself in a psychiatric hospital because now he has even more addiction problems, and a week ago he overdosed on fentanyl. Following this post, he really disappeared from Reddit for a while. His account fell silent for over 6 years. Eventually, though, 6 years after making his last post on Reddit, Spontaneous H logged back into his Reddit account and made the post, "Spontaneous H 7 years later. Update for anyone who stumbles upon this account in the future." I don't know if anyone here remembers me, but you can look through my submissions history and get an idea. It's not pretty and will take you through a journey of my first time trying heroin to my life quickly falling apart. So take that as a warning. It's graphic. I was totally out of my mind. You may not want to read it depending on where you're at. I'm now almost 6 years clean from all the drugs and alcohol, and life is good. The Basilisk Collection. So to understand this entry, we first need to understand what a cryptographic hash function is. A cryptographic hash function is a mathematical algorithm that will allow you to take data like words or text and turn it into an encoded version of itself. And there's this specific cryptographic hash function known as SHA-256, and SHA-256 is incredibly important in cryptocurrency exchange. For example, for Bitcoin exchange to work, SHA-256 has to be working properly. And so there was this guy who went by Blackhole Mori who made a Wikipedia page about something called the Basilisk Collection. This page describes the Basilisk Collection as being a document that can be used to break the cryptographic hash function SH256, and since the Basilisk Collection can destroy this hash function, now major cryptocurrencies are at risk of no longer working because the hash function's broken. And you know, if cryptocurrency just randomly stops working one day, people are losing big money. The thing about this Wikipedia page
I hope
is
so.
It's completely fake. The Basilisk Collection isn't a real thing. If you look at the URL for this page,
why can't it be
pretty gives away
real?
that it's fake, because this page
I think that'd be
is
so
literally
funny.
not on the Wikipedia website, but everything else
Fucking
about
idiots
this
and their
page is
bitcoins.
incredibly convincing. It's very well written and it goes super in depth, and unless you're super familiar with the language and jargon associated with cryptocurrencies, you would probably think this is real the first time you read it. The page also looks so real. Like, for example, there's links on this page that take you to actual Wikipedia articles to make it seem like this is a real Wikipedia article itself. This page is really convincing and it's tricked a lot of people. Japanese life parties. So what I think this entry is referring to is, in Japan in the 2000s, there were quite a few cases of people meeting on online chat forums and forming packs and then meeting up in real life and ending their lives together. There was a rise in these types of cases in the 2000s, and quite a few news outlets reported on it. The reason I think this is what this entry is referring to is because there's a version of this iceberg chart on icebergcharts.com, and if you click on the entry Japanese life parties, it takes you to an article by The Atlantic that describes a specific case of individuals meeting online and forming a pact where they would all end their lives together. Deep web spiders. The term deep web spiders is referring to a type of computer program that's used to go through dark web websites and index the contents of them. These computer programs are usually referred to as web crawlers, but sometimes they're also called dark web or deep web spiders. Sometimes deep web spiders are used to index websites for the purpose of searching for stolen information on the dark web. Exit scam. So, what is an exit scam? An exit scam is a technique that some businesses will use when they see that their business is failing and they want to end their business. But before they end their business, they want to make off with as much money as possible. So the way an exit scam works is actually pretty simple. For an exit scam, you act as though you're selling all your products as normal, and people will give you money for these products because you're trying to buy them. But instead of you taking the money and then giving them a product in return, you just take the money and run. Sure, this is completely illegal and completely ruins your business's reputation, but if you're planning on ending your business anyway, why not try and scam people and make off with as much money as possible? Exit scams are especially
because of the law.
Where people
the law, you can hear his like weird doomer idiot response, right? Why not do it? Because of the law. If they ever catch you, you go to jail for a while. The law is why you don't do this.
Through cryptocurrencies. This is because with cryptocurrencies...
Why not just exit scam? You own the company, right? No, nobody ever comes after you for stealing thousands of dollars or anything. No, the police don't exist. No. No, they won't get you for years of harassment or stealing or something. Like they don't you know, they just don't exist. They won't get you.
Wallet, there's no way to reverse the payment. So if you pay someone in Bitcoin and it turns out you got exit scammed, there's really no way you're getting your money back. Back in late 2020, Empire Market pulled a pretty nasty exit scam. Empire Market was a website on the dark web where you could buy all sorts of illegal goods and services, and Empire Market was holding on to $30 million worth of people's Bitcoin for products people were trying to purchase. However, at one point, Empire Market stopped delivering on products people were trying to buy, and in August of 2020, Empire Market's website went down without explanation, and no one got their money back, and so presumably Empire Market exit scammed everyone and made off with $30 million worth of Bitcoin. Hyper sigils. This entry might be a little bit hard to explain. So typically when people talk about sigils, a sigil is a symbol that holds some sort of magical power to it. Usually the idea behind a sigil is if you make a sigil while holding some sort of intention or goal in mind, once you create a sigil that visually represents your goal or intention, it will help you achieve your goal or intention. So for example, you could create a sigil with the intention of it helping you become rich, and the creation of the sigil will actually help you magically become rich. Okay, so now that we understand kind of what sigils are, we can talk about what a hyper sigil is. So typically a sigil is kind of just a picture or glyph that will help you manifest and achieve your goals, but a hyper sigil is a more extended piece of artwork that will help you manifest and achieve your goals. So for example, a hyper sigil could be something like a song you composed or a story you're writing or some other extended work of art. So if you focus really hard on this work of art for a long time, it will kind of become your life. So for example, you could create a hyper sigil that's a story about someone becoming famous and powerful, and if you focus on this story long and hard enough, eventually it will kind of become your life. You yourself will become famous and powerful. This is kind of the idea of what a hyper sigil is. The idea of hyper sigils was created by an author by the name of Grant Morrison, and he says that he has his own personal experience with hyper sigils. Grant Morrison wrote a comic book series called The Invisibles, and he said that over time, as he continued to focus on the Invisibles throughout his life became more reflective and more like the plot of The Invisibles. So within his life, his comic book series, The Invisibles, became a kind of hyper sigil. Anthill Kids. The Anthill Kids were a doomsday cult that was led by a man by the name of Roke Thoreau. Roke Thoreau dropped out of school in 7th grade, and after studying the Bible Bible in the Old Testament, he started believing that the end of the world was near. And in the 1970s, he convinced a group of people to leave behind their lives and join his group, where he promised them equality and freedom from sin. He also convinced this group that the world was going to end in 1979. So in 1978, he moved his people within this cult into a secluded area in Quebec, Canada called St. Huegas. Here he had his followers build a town to live in. After he got his followers to build this town and live in it, he became increasingly more abusive. If any of the people within the commune tried to leave, he would abuse them and sometimes even kill them. And this practice led to many of the followers of Roque never questioning his authority as a leader. It's hard to get into the specifics of what he did to his followers on YouTube just due to how messed up it was. Just to give you an idea, at one point he impregnated like 9 women in the commune and fathered 20 children to raise as members of the cult. There was a lot of him nailing people to trees and then having other followers throw rocks at them. On multiple occasions, he would cut people open and mess with their internal organs. He burned people over fires a couple times. And this really is just the tip of the iceberg. It gets a lot worse. The cult dissolved in 1989 after one of the members successfully escaped the commune and reported the operation to some nearby authorities. RockU.Text. RockU was a company that in the early 2000s rose to prominence by making add-ons for websites like Facebook and MySpace. One of RockU's most popular add-ons was called Superwall. It was an add-on for Facebook, and what it would do is it would allow you to share videos and pictures and other media on your Facebook wall. You couldn't share videos and other media on your Facebook wall without this add-on in the early days of Facebook. And so by making useful add-ons for Facebook, a lot of people started using RockU products and signing up for a RockU account. Well, back in 2009, RockU was hacked. And this probably wouldn't have been a very big deal if it wasn't for the fact that RockU was storing its users' passwords really irresponsibly. Instead of RockU storing its users' passwords in an encrypted format for an extra layer of protection, they were just storing users' passwords in plain text. And so if a hacker gains access to a bunch of plain text passwords without an extra layer of encryption for protection, they can just do whatever they want with them. And so a hacker was able to hack into RockU's systems and gain access to over 30 million usernames and passwords. After this hacker gained access to all these different usernames and passwords, they didn't actually use the passwords for themselves. Instead, the person who hacked into RockU's systems compiled all of the passwords and put them into a file called RockU.Text, and then went ahead and published this file onto the internet publicly. And
wow.
This is pretty scary considering that a lot of people have the same passwords across all the different accounts that they own. Dyatlov Pass Incident. So in 1959, 9 members of the Polytechnic Institute in Yekaterinburg, Russia, looked to go on an expedition that was over 200 miles through the Russian Ural Mountains. Mysteriously, everybody in this expedition went missing and was never heard from again. After people realized that the people on this expedition were missing, a search crew was sent out to look for them, and this search crew found the remains of this group at the base of a mountain known as Kholat Shiakal. What the search crew specifically found was pretty weird. The search crew found one of the expeditionist's tent sticking halfway out of the snow and with a giant cut in it. The way the cut was on the tent made it seem as though the cut was formed from the inside, and this hole in the tent suggests that at one point one of the expeditionists had to cut their way out of their tent for some reason. The bodies of the expeditionists were in really weird condition when they were found. Some of the bodies were completely naked, some of the bodies had eyes missing from them, and others had their chests and skulls cracked open, and one of them was even missing a tongue. Weirdly enough, one of the expeditionists even had detectable levels of radiation on their clothing. The original investigation into this case from the Soviet Union ruled that all the members of this expedition died to a quote-unquote compelling natural force. Of course, saying that these people died to a compelling natural force is really vague and could mean pretty much anything, and it doesn't explain the weird state that these bodies were found in. And so this led a lot of people to believe that the findings of this initial investigation by the Soviet Union was actually a cover-up for something more sinister. Some people think that these expeditionists died to some undocumented Soviet experiment that was going on in the mountains. Some people think that there was infighting between some of the people on the expedition team. Some people think that the expeditionists were attacked by aliens or an abominable snowman. In 2019, Russian authorities actually reopened this case, and this time around they concluded that the death of these people was caused by an avalanche, and the bodies that had missing eyes and a missing tongue sprung was caused by scavenging animals, and the radioactivity detected on one of the expeditionist's clothing is usually explained to have come from some radioactive elements that were in their lanterns that they were using. Nowadays, most people do believe that these people were killed by an avalanche, but there are still some people out there that think they were killed by a Yeti. Shared DMT hallucinations. This entry is referring to the fact that many DMT users report having hallucinations that are very similar to other DMT users' hallucinations. In other words, there are
skill has
certain specific
increased.
hallucinations that many individual DMT users will experience. One of the most common hallucinations that many DMT users report seeing are entities known as machine elves. Most people that report seeing these machine elves say that they're these all-knowing, benevolent creatures. Most think that people sharing DMT hallucinations is just kind of a coincidence. There's not really a whole lot to it, but some people take the idea of shared DMT hallucinations and take it to the next level. Some people say it's more than just a coincidence that many DMT users report having similar hallucinations, and so they push the idea that entities like DMT elves actually do exist. They just exist on another dimension of reality, and DMT isn't a drug that really makes us hallucinate. Instead, it's a drug that allows us to ascend to this next dimension of reality and view these entities. Donald Owen Cameron. So Project MK Ultra
Your skill
was a
has
project
increased.
that the CIA ran throughout the 1950s, 60s, and 70s. In case you're not already familiar with Project MK Ultra, it was a project that was looking to develop mind controlling and torture techniques for the CIA. In the late 1950s, Project MK Ultra hired a psychiatrist by the name of Donald Owen Cameron to run experiments for the project. The CIA hired Donald Owen Cameron through a front company called the Society for the Investigation of Human Ecology. So whether or not Donald Owen Cameron actually knew he was working for the CIA is unknown.
White guy
The experiments
names.
that he ran were incredibly gruesome anyway. Most of his experiments took place at a psychiatric
White guy
hospital in
CIA
Montreal,
assassin
Canada, and the
name.
patients who participated in these experiments did not give informed consent to being tested on. And these experiments
After the
took
Battle
many
of
different
Mount
forms.
Hijau,
He would run
we were
experiments where
without
he would give
direction.
subjects really heavy
Nor
doses
vessels
of
smoke from the
LSD to
fire
see how they
it
would react. He
unleashed,
ran some
and
experiments
our
where he would put
immortality.
people into medically
There is another
induced
moon
comas
well.
for months at a time, and while they were in this coma, he would have a tape player that would continuously play an audio clip on loop to see if he could kind of brainwash and manipulate people's minds while they were in a coma by repeating specific audio clips to them. He also ran experiments where he would subject people to electroconvulsive therapy that had voltage levels that were 30 to 40 times higher than what people are typically supposed to be subjected to.
Right.
SEN. What SEN could be referring to is this YouTube channel by the name of SEN. This YouTube channel has a lot of really weird animation videos. The voice acting in these videos is really hard to understand, and it's really hard to tell what the animation is even trying to depict sometimes. I think all of these animation videos on this channel come together to tell some sort of overarching story. But these videos are so hard to watch and so hard to follow that I cannot for the life of me figure out what the plot is really. The description of this channel reads, reality series by C.N. Sen, visual science fiction novel. This story is total fiction, not based on real. Hyper-reality, open world chapter.
Broken English.
Sorry about lack of drawing and speech. I do try hard. God bless. So based on all this, you could say that SCN is just referring to this weird YouTube channel that has some guy's weird art project on it. Although due to the circumstances of this YouTube channel, I kind of feel like SCN might be referring to something else. As of the time of me making this YouTube video, SEN doesn't even have 100 subscribers yet, and there is little to no discussion of this YouTube channel really anywhere on the internet. Really, the only other mention of this channel on the internet is from a
It's funny because that's my best friend's call sign.
Posted on the 4chan paranormal forum. Really, all this post is a post that just says, "Hey, look at this weird."
Always makes me wonder.
I found, and then a link to the channel, and that's it. And so, due to the obscurity of this YouTube channel and the complete lack of discussion regarding it on the internet, I kind of feel like SEN could be referring to something else, but I just can't figure out what that is. If you have any information regarding this term SEN, leave a comment. I'd love to figure out what this is really about. 969 movement. The 969 movement is a movement within Myanmar where a section of Buddhists have become anti-Muslim and Islamophobic. Many people point towards a monk by the name of Ashen Warao Warathu as being the leader of this movement. Ashen Warathu is a pretty prominent and influential monk within Myanmar, and he's expressed some strong anti-Muslim sentiments in the past. He has suggested that if the Buddhist
Anti-Muslim.
population within Myanmar becomes weak, the much smaller Muslim population will try to overrun the Buddhist population. And so he's done things like suggest that Buddhists should boycott Muslim businesses to keep them weak. The 969 movement has ultimately led to some violence against the Muslim population in Myanmar, but Ashen Warathu, despite often being seen as the leader of the 969 movement, says that any violence against the Muslim population isn't his fault, and he thinks that the 969 movement is purely non-violent. In the current state of the 969 movement, many people argue over whether Ashen Warathu is responsible for a lot of the violence against the Muslim population and responsible for starting the 969 movement, or if all of this isn't his fault. Hybrid. So this entry is referring to a role-playing game known as Hybrid that's been floating around the internet for a while. This game is incredibly complicated.
Hybrid.
The most up-to-date version of the game has 551 rules. There have been people who have tried to actually go through the rule set of this game and figure out how it works and to play it, but these people have actually come to the conclusion that the game just does not work. The rule set is broken and the game is unplayable. Probably one of the most notable problems with the rule set of this game is sometimes the author of the rule set will kind of stop talking about the game and just go on a tangent about random politics and pop culture things. Like, for example, in Rule 186, the author is
Yep, I don't understand either, number two.
and starts talking about Star Trek for a little bit for some reason, and then goes back to explaining the rule.
Yeah, I don't understand either. I don't know. Hate is the thing that lives in this fucking humanity's heart. I don't understand it. I don't have it. I don't share it. So like, I kind of hate people who are fascist, but I don't actively go hunt or mistreat those people or treat them hatefully. I think hate often has to do with actions, you know? Yeah, I don't know.
Like nothing happened. Also, to play the game properly, there's a lot of mathematical equations that you have to calculate, and it makes the game super complicated and hard to understand.
Okay,
like
why would you put algebra in the center of an RPG? I mean, I guess,
people-
yeah, but why would you want, like, why would you want the end user to have to do it? I mean, a lot of games have really complicated algebra, like this game has crazy algebra to understand the DPS. But
who have actually tried to figure out how this game works
Yep.
and actually play it have come to the conclusion that the game just doesn't work.
it doesn't-
at all.
it's not
The rule set
real.
is broken. And so, due to the fact that this game literally does not work, it's led a lot of people to question what the point of it even is. The creator
It's a
of this
troll.
game goes by a couple different names online. On some forums, he goes by Matthew. On some forums, he goes by C++. There isn't a lot of public information on who this guy is and what he's like, but some people think that he made this hybrid game as kind of a joke. You know, the idea being that it's just so complicated and so convoluted, it's kind of just a spectacle to look at. But also, based on the way that he talks on his personal blog and the incoherent way that a lot of the rules are written out, some people speculate that the creator of this game is suffering from some form of mental illness. Some people speculate that he could be suffering from schizophrenia or some form of OCD. Whether or not this is really the case, no one knows, but based on his ramblings in the rule set and on his personal blog, it seems totally plausible. Fighting Monarch. So this entry is referring to a website by the name of Fighting Monarch. This website is dedicated to fighting a mind-controlling program called Project Monarch. Just to give you an idea of what this website is like, here's what the website says about itself in the About section. This site is for victims of the mind control program Project Monarch, successor to MK Ultra, which is run by the Illuminati, CIA, NSA, BND, and MI5. Among other things, the program, or as the Air Force calls it, the mission, involves cybernetics, drugs, electroshock, hypnotism, and abuse, whether for alpha leaders, beta slaves, or delta killers, each named after brainwaves. There's also Omega programming, where people are programmed to, and gamma programming, where people are programmed with stories to deceive them and others. For example, that aliens, rather than the CIA, abducted and just a person. Beyond this website being dedicated to fighting this supposed monarch mind-controlling program, this website also talks about a bunch of other conspiracy theories. The website has theories about how the government's trying to use media to control you, about how they're using microwaves to beam images into your head, how airplanes are spreading chemicals across the country to stunt human growth. Beyond the more mainstream
I believe that
kind of
one.
conspiracy theories, though, this website has some
Chemtrails
more
I do
interesting
believe
stuff,
in.
too. For example,
I think those
I
are
like the
one of the
theory
few
that
ways
romantic
those
love
guys
is
actually do
creation by the
manifest.
Illuminati to
I think chemtrails are real, and I think they're a serious problem. But I don't worry about them. I don't think about them. I don't look up in the sky at them and think, "There's the government trying to poison us." I don't take it to that level, but I do believe that chemtrails exist and that they're fucking nasty. Fucking nasty. We know what chemtrails are, you know. Fucking chemicals. It's not that hard to understand. Wow, this leecher just ate through this whole bull dommel deal really fast. So now I have a bigger problem brewing. He didn't like that I parried him, which means that the dommel isn't doing any damage to him at all. I mean, he is. He's done half the bar, which is cool. I'm going to feed this Sylvester to him next. How did you resist, you piece of shit? How did you resist? Come on now. Horsey, horse hucky. How did you resist that? Come on, man. Come on, man. There you go, there you go. Alright, get on this goblin, damn it. Yeah, you, get on the fucking goblin. Go, go, go. Well, at least the Dialga didn't go on the mob, you know, or on my pet, I mean. Come on, man, get on the fucking pet. He's chunking you. There you go. No, no, huh? Alright, fine, we'll just kill you. I don't care. Leecher will die fast. It's a white mage. Yeah. Oh, but it also hurts really bad. Look at that fucking crit, asshole. Crit into fucking rush. At least it wasn't a bomb. Now he's casting shell like I'm gonna cast a spell at him. Am I gonna
Your
live?
skill has increased.
Yeah, I might live, but it'll be close. I don't know. I don't know. A punto dispa.
Your skill
Fucker.
has increased.
Fucking healed. Well then here, kill the Mandy. The Mandy won't uncharm. Ah, damn it, he keeps critting me fucking horribly. Maybe I better just let the Mandy tank him for a while. And make it so I can, like, see him coming. Yeah, I knew the bomb was coming. I was like, yeah, fuck that. Oh my god, look at him chunk the Mandy. I can't do this, can I? Nope, I gotta take the advantage that I've already got. They go use it to zone. Yeah. Shit, he's gonna do this. Sylvester tanked pretty good, but that thing can churn out damage. It was higher than I could deal with. Okay, Sylvester's dead. I could charm another one, but it'll just get me killed. The goblin catches up so quick. Like, it's so annoying. Alright, you. Ah, another goblin.
Troll and distract people, or the theory that the Eiffel Tower is actually a radio station that's being used for microwave harassment, or the theory that there's actually a secret base beneath Mount Fuji. This website pushes the theory that celebrities are actually being cybernetically controlled, and here's a video of the cybernetics within Al Roker's brain malfunctioning.
It's Al Roker, but he's thinking about something. And he's totally thinking about something. He's thinking about sex or something, and he's just not focused.
Is an author who wrote
I see it all the
books
time.
On his interesting theory on where humans
Staring
came
off
from.
into the
His
clouds.
Theory on the origins of humanity are pretty complicated, so we're going to run through it pretty quickly. So within ancient Sumerian mythology, there were these deities that were worshipped known as the Anunnaki. Although there's conflicting information on what exactly their role was within ancient Sumerian mythology, some evidence suggests that the Anunnaki were these celestial gods who created created humans. And so this leads us to a guy by the name of Zacharya Sitchin, who created his own kind of theory on the origins of humanity that takes inspiration from ancient Sumerian mythology. Basically, the way his theory goes is that there's an extra undiscovered planet in our solar system called Nibiru, and the Anunnaki live on this extra planet, but about 450,000 years ago, they came to Earth to mine gold, and while they were on Earth, they crossed their celestial alien genes with the genes of Homo erectus. Homo erectus is an ancient species of human that's now extinct, and the result of this crossbreeding created modern humans. The theory isn't really taken seriously by anybody, but it sold a lot of books. Osama bin Laden's hard drive. So if you don't know who Osama bin Laden is, he was the founder of the terrorist organization known as Al-Qaeda, and he's in large
If you
part
believe in
responsible
such
for
things.
organizing the September 11th attacks. Since
Yeah,
the September
right.
11th attacks, the United States put a lot of effort into trying to find him and kill him. In 2011, it was discovered that he was hiding in a town in Pakistan known as Abbottabad, and he was hiding in a pretty large compound. Well, when his location was discovered, the U.S. Navy SEALs flew to his compound on helicopters and raided the building and killed Osama bin Laden. During this raid, the Navy SEALs also took a bunch of materials from the compound, and one of the things they picked up during this raid were some hard drives. For a long time, the contents of these hard drives were kept secret by the CIA, but in November of 2017, the contents of all these hard drives and thumb drives were just published on the CIA's website for everyone to freely view. So right now, you can go to the CIA's official website and just view the contents of Osama bin Laden's hard drives. Is all of the stuff found on this hard drive stuff that Osama bin Laden personally put on it? Probably not, but these hard drives were found where he was personally living, so a lot of the stuff on these hard drives is stuff that he could totally be responsible for. The contents of these hard drives is all over the place. On one hand, you can find pro-Taliban and pro-Al-Qaeda propaganda. You can find footage of attacks on U.S. soldiers and footage of United States drone strikes, but also on this hard drive, you can find 2009's Monsters vs. Aliens with Arabic subtitles. You can find the 2009 Street Fighter movie. There's episodes of Tom and Jerry. There's this one video I found on this hard drive that's like top 10 optical illusions. It's really interesting looking at these hard drives because you get a little bit of a look into the personal life of Osama bin Laden and the people around him. Captain Coochie's Key Lime Pies. Okay, so this entry is pretty weird. Between 2009 and 2016, there were thousands of posts made on various comment sections of blogs and other social media pages talking about how the cheeseburgers and the key lime pies at a restaurant called Coochie's Key West Cafe were the best key lime pies and the best cheeseburgers ever. Many of these posts were really confusing and used odd and repetitive language, and a lot of these posts would feature weird innuendos, and these posts were running rampant all over the internet on various social media and blog pages. In 2016, people on Reddit started taking notice of these unexplained posts talking about Coochie's Key West Cafe, but just when people started taking notice of this phenomenon in 2016 on Reddit, that's when these posts started to die down. What is especially weird about this situation is that the restaurant these posts are referencing, Coochie's Key West Cafe, was by most documentation closed sometime in 2006 or 2007, but these posts pertaining to this restaurant didn't start until 2009. It's kind of weird that someone would start talking about a restaurant and how good its food is all over the internet 2 years after the restaurant closed. Till this day, no one is really sure who was behind these posts and why these posts were showing up all over the internet. However, at this point, the most popular theory on why these posts were showing up all over the internet is that some people believe that the owner of Coochie's Key West Cafe, a man by the name of Oswald Pelez, got involved in some sort of controversy or some sort of dispute, and he wanted to make it so if people looked up his name and his restaurant, they wouldn't be able to find any information about this controversy or this dispute. And so what he decided to do was make thousands and thousands of posts using his name and talking about his restaurant. So when people went to go look up his name, the search engine wouldn't pull up any
Your skill has
information on the
increased.
controversy he was involved in. Instead, the search engine would just pull up one of these weird posts that mention his name and his restaurant. In other words, he kind of wanted to hide his controversy under all these posts. And so this leads to the question, what kind of controversy was Oswald Pelez involved in that was so serious that he would go to such lengths to hide it? One of the possible controversies Oswald Pelez could have been trying to hide was in 2012, he got involved in a multi-level marketing scheme. The multi-level marketing scheme that he got involved in eventually folded, and it could be pretty embarrassing for someone to find out that you were in a multi-level marketing scheme that failed. And so some people believe he tried hiding this information under thousands and thousands of posts. Vire.eu. This entry is referring to, I believe, this website that you're looking at. This is a very interesting entry because I can find little to know information about this website on the internet. The
This
website
kid kept it
contains
really
contact
clean, and I
information
like
for,
that.
I assume the creator of this website.
I like that his commentary was upbeat. There wasn't any dark music or stupid shit trying to scare us or whatever.
By the
It was
stars,
just the
it's
funnier
quite disturbing
aspects
indeed.
of this stupid shit.
Gnarled
You know?
pine invaders were seen ravaging the Banethil Barrow Den to the west. The slump.
The Council of the Forest has news that you...
I listened to these, but I just did yesterday or whatever, the day before. I'm not doing it again. I climbed the tree again.
Site. However, at this point, it appears that all the contact information is out of date. The website contains links to websites that seem like nothing more than just art projects, I think. This website also features a link to a Steam account that's pretty weird. This Steam account has a similar name to the website, and whoever's responsible for it has used bots to, like, mess with his user statistics. Like, for example, I'm looking at his Steam page right now, and it says that he's played over 9,000 hours of games within the last 2 weeks, which is, you know, literally impossible. If you ask me, I think this website is just some guy's personal website that acts as a link tree to his different projects in different accounts across the internet. Unfavorable semicircle.
It could be possible.
Unfavorable semicircle is a mysterious...
It could be possible if he had like 20 clients open, 12 hours a day. You could easily reach 9,000 hours. And I'm going to say that on this video. You know, he said it would be impossible. Why do I feel like someone's getting hurt or something? Or me, or like, no, it wasn't me. Oh, because he jumped. They both jumped.
Greeting. My emerald dreamcatcher is of great importance to me. It is a gift only given to few. Thank you for returning it, adventurer. The emerald. It is missing. My dreamcatcher has been damaged. There is a band of Gnarlpine mystics located to the north of Starbreeze. I have heard reports that their leader, Ferocitas the Dream Eater, has been wearing a necklace that glows green in the night. Now, seeing my dreamcatcher, I am sure that he has stolen my emerald. He would never realize that its power is useless to him. Find this missing jewel, adventurer, and while you're there, clear out some of the corrupted mystics as well. Good luck, friend.
Cloak has 8 armor. It's an upgrade. But it's... I mean, it is an upgrade, yeah. Give me the leatherworking thing so I can do... Oh, cool. I can move that. That's awesome. Oh, cool. I can just move it all. I guess I can. Wow. Anything else that needs to move? No, I don't think so. I wish I could make this bigger. Close. I do want to make it bigger. You know, it's weird. I don't want this here. I want it, like, over here. Yeah, and I want you to be bigger. Unlock. Make it really big, because I actually wouldn't mind reading it. Wait, what happened there? Oh, did you... Oh, unlock. Did you just kill it? Okay, well... Nope, I just want settings for the combat log. Combat log defaults, yes, but where did you go? Where did the other window go? It's like not here anymore. Oh, yep. Sorry. I better attack the gambler. I don't know. Yeah, like stick the ball on the gambler. Yeah, we'll just throw some stuff at the gambler, yeah. He shouldn't be able to tank a bull damel. He's gonna hurt the bull damel. Yeah, just don't hit me and we're good. Aragog for 111 on that damel. He slaughtered him. But he's weak. I just can't go around him. Look, he's eating that damel alive. Oh yeah, the caterpillar, huh? What's he check? He's DC. Go get him. Aragog hurts so bad, you son of a bitch. Get on him. Get on him. Get on him. Fuck this bitch. We gotta kill him. I'll run out of the Aragog or whatever. I'll run out of it, but we gotta kill this guy. He's a live wire. We gotta kill him.
Your skill has increased.
Yep. When I see the Gauss spell, nope, Goblin Rush. That's fine. Take him up. I'm gonna heal the crawler. I can't afford to have him lose. Go.
Your skill has increased.
What do you mean not equipped? What do you mean not equipped? Am I out? Yeah, I am out. Oh, yeah. Heal. Kill him. Yeah. Fuck that fucking gambler. He went down. He's the nastiest thing here of fucking layup parties and stuff. Those guys are nasty. Fuck, I forgot about the gambler. The leecher and the gambler. Oh, there's my combat log. So then, there we go. So, I want you to be bigger, but that means making you unlock. Yeah, and make it bigger. Like, can I make it, like, really big? Yeah. What's the current size? It's like 28. Let's drop it down. Little smaller. 24, right? Yeah, like, where does it end naturally anyways? It's, wow, it goes all the way across, huh? Yeah, but when it's not interactive. I kind of like it. It's like stylistic. But it's also kind of annoying. But let's see how it feels though. Lock the window and make non-interactive. And then when it fades away, right? No, it's no good. We gotta unlock it. Unlock and make interactive and yep. And move it. Yep.
You've been examined.
What's this now? Oh yeah, I'm healing, yeah. Oh. It's too big, but I like it. Yeah, what's the perfect size right there? Can I fit it? I can. And then we come over here and we say like that. And then lock the motherfucker. Lock it. Make non-contraction. Then we will move you right to the edge limit. Can you make it smaller? Yeah. And then over. And then we'll fuck with this for a minute. Yeah, like that. Yeah. I mean, yeah, but the buffs are above, so it doesn't matter. Yeah. And this comes over just a little bit, so it's more like in level with her. Yeah. It's good shit. And yep, I'm gonna go right like that. Where's the center of her? Yeah, it's like what? Like right there, I think, yeah. Yeah, that's the center of it. Oh, it's a bird. Shall we kill the bird? Yeah, I'm full. Let's go. I'm doing better at not dying. I'm beginning to understand the processes of how to get out of problems, like, a lot easier. Like, what, like, you know, shit, I've got overwhelming odds, but if you just don't give up and you just keep kiting, you try, at the time you figure out some way to do it. It's hard. Let's see how much the crawler will do to this thing. Put spells on it. I'm a 24 Beastmaster. I started like 4 days ago and shit. I'm like a third of the way. I started like what, 4 days ago? Really was not that long ago. Like 4 or 5 days ago, I think. Yeah, doing pretty well. Yeah, see, this crawler stomped him in. Look at that. He's got offensive power. Oh, he came off though. Come on. Go, go. No. Kill the Sylvester. Get him on the ground. Yep, yep. Okay, you. I don't want to attack you, but just... Come on, man. Stupid crawler. There he is. Chew the bird. I want to see what your damage is on him. Just gonna let you hit him for a bit. I love this shit. I kind of wish it would, like, I don't know. My health bar is way down here, but I wish I could move it. I wish I could move it. Yeah, they're like equal. They're like fairly equal. So I'm just alright. Just like keep healing. Actually, I'm gonna stand up and take the heals that I have. Yeah. Yep. Because I know the crawler's coming back sooner or later. Yeah, you got any spells for me?
Like a cat dragged in from the rain.
Yes, he's got an eviscerate rank too. And evasion.
All over again.
Ooh, I feel safe.
Be back for more.
Evasion.
Oh, I didn't see you enter, adventurer. What can I do for you?
Yep. You can, like, relax, dude. That's what you can do for me. It's still too big, isn't it? It is. It's too big. Unlock the window, make it move, say, get it out so I can see it, make interactive. Yeah, I want it smaller, well, I want it taller, yep, taller, all the way. And drop her down to, like, there. I see now why it's, like, a little annoying, but yeah, like, so, okay, lock that and try that. Yeah.
Your skill has increased.
How are we now? Are you back? Yeah, you're back. Kill it. Kill it. Yeah. Nice. Yeah, I want the full credit for the zoo. Yep. Noise, noise. Bird, feather, and fire. Fire's always good. Got a bull damel and should chase it. We should chase it. I would take the bull damel next. Yes. Fuck, I'm addicted to Beastmaster. I didn't know how bad it was going to be. This whole game opened up. There's so many zones to fuck around in, but also... I don't know. I feel like fairly constricted here. I should be on the leeches. They pay more. When I ding, I don't know what my progress is right now. It's 25 out of 5. Fuck, I got kicked for inactivity here. There is currently an issue with expeditions that activated number would temporarily be increased to 4. Okay, well, I don't care about mutations, sorry. Nice, he went back up. Yeah, reward, I like it. Eat the Sylvester. Shit's better than Pokemon, I swear to God. Because Pokemon doesn't have the fucking... Like, Pokemon, they can make such a good 3D Pokemon like this. So good. Where you're, like, running around and the battles don't last longer than, like, 30 seconds or something like this. And it just get, in, like, you know... And you lose the Pokemon, but you keep rolling and rolling. Yeah, like this. Like, Final Fantasy XI is, like, the best game ever made, in my opinion. It just is. Yeah, you didn't even hurt him that bad, though. The Leaf Dagger hit for 22. Yeah, kill this guy. Or no, kill the goblin so he doesn't... the last leecher I got in a fight with kind of fucked with me, so let's just, like, skip him for now. Wait, did you... Oh, no, that's, yeah, that's New World. Gotta find my rock outcropping. I think there's this point with the right kind of money and the right kind of mats... where when you're like capped out stone, where you can make such good money, but I'm so far off from that right now. Like, so far off from it. There's a big chunk here that I didn't know was here. But my usual place is way over there. I'm getting better at stone shopping, 158. Yeah, like, I really want to cap my stone and see, like, what you know, what I can do. I used to turn off the UI and run in one direction. But now I'm like, why? I can just run around this beautiful, lush, like, garden. I don't even need the UI, really. Like, Alt H or whatever. Yeah, when I Alt-tab it... Oh, no, when I Alt-tab it doesn't matter, yeah. Yeah, really, I don't need the UI. I can just turn it off. Fuck the UI. Yeah, it's, like, way better without it. See, like, it's way more fluid. I bet it drags down the other games less, too, when that UI isn't on. Their UI is what actually eats up all the graphics and everything. I was going down to the beach, but I got lost here. Yeah, we're just going back the right direction here. Like, just... Wait, was I going east? No, I'm going south. No, I'm going southwest. Oops. Kill that Pygmy-oe. Maybe I should work on mini pets. I wonder if I can play retail and classic at the same time. Probably not, huh? I don't know. But I would like to do some of the passive stuff in retail too. Like, I like watching the things fight. Those things are so fun. Yeah, I think I want a year sub to WoW now. I think it's a crucial time that I do it, and they're offering a good deal too, I think. Buy and equip a stiletto, I guess. Yeah, but no, I don't know. I can't. I can make that cloak though. Yep, and I think I will. Or no, I don't know. What do I have that sucks? I have bad bracers. I need better bracers. Yeah, never mind. I need those bracers way worse. Yep, bracers. The chest, the hand-stitched leather chest is an upgrade because I think it has stamina on it sometimes. Or no, maybe that's later. Yeah, the chest is an upgrade. 33, this one's 45, yeah. So we'll do the bracers first. Oh no, I already made the bracers. Yep, there we go. And then we can sell these for 3. Can sell the boots. Boots are okay, but the chest is a serious upgrade. Yeah, it is, actually. So, okay. Okay, I need mana. Well, I want you to go sick the bird real quick. Put that video back on. Sorry, I got just like kind of got distracted.
Netflix YouTube channel that was created in March of 2015, and for nearly a year posted strange and abstract videos. The videos on this channel varied greatly in length. Some videos were as short as a couple seconds long, while others were as long as 11 hours. The videos would often include flashing, colorful imagery with distorted audio. Some videos had audio of a man's voice reading off numbers. Some of the videos on this channel even had encoded images in them. Near the end of the channel's life, it had over 80,000 videos and was uploading multiple videos per day. In February of 2016, the BBC and Atlas Obscura made articles about this YouTube channel. In these articles, they talked about how it was like the most mysterious YouTube channel up right now. And shortly after these articles were made, the channel was taken down by YouTube. Till this day, no one's absolutely certain what this channel was, but there are some pretty interesting theories. Of course, some people think it was an art project, some people think it was an ARG. However, the most popular theory was this channel was trying to reverse engineer and figure out how the YouTube copyright identification system works. So of course, YouTube can detect when there is copyrighted material within a video, and so some people think that this YouTube channel was trying to figure out how YouTube identifies copyrighted material, and specifically what this channel was doing is it was uploading massive amounts of videos to see what videos would trigger the YouTube copyright system and what videos would not trigger the YouTube copyright system. And using this massive data set of videos, someone might be able to break down what specific things trigger the YouTube copyright system and what things don't. This theory is also kind of interesting because the channel is called Unfavorable Semicircle. And if you look at the symbol that's oftentimes used to represent copyright, you might be able to say that it kind of looks like a semicircle. And on YouTube, YouTubers often talk about YouTube's copyright system being bad or unfavorable. And so in a way, the copyright system could be an unfavorable semicircle. Petrolstein. So this situation starts when in 2017, on the Goodreads discussion board, a user by the name of Leah was trying to find the name of a book that she remembered from her childhood. What she remembered from the book was really odd. She described the book being about a boy who turns himself into a petrol pump by sticking 2 fingers in his ears and then eating an abacus. Abacus is one of these things. The plot of the book that she described was really weird. At the time, despite the pretty specific description of this book, nobody could put a name to it. In fact, some people believe that this book didn't even exist at all. Some people thought that Leah, the person who posted about this, was just having a false memory of some sort. A couple months down the road, though, there were a couple posts made on Reddit that were looking for a book with a plot that was described very similarly. Both of these posts on Goodreads and Reddit described remembering this book from their childhood, but they couldn't remember what the name of it is, and they both described it being about a boy who turns himself into a petrol pump. After these 2 posts, there were a couple more other posts looking for a book with a similar plot, but no one could remember what the name of it was. And for almost 2 years, there were no advancements in this mystery.
My favorite book growing up, I'll always remember. Now, why did you stand up? I don't really understand that. Did you come hit me or something? Yeah, you did, huh? Fucking dick. You gonna win? Yeah, you are. This book, yeah, but this book exists. Maniac McGee, right? This book, it was Jerry Spinella, Maniac McGee. A Newbery Medal winning modern classic about a racially divided small town and a boy who runs. Jeffrey Lionel Maniac McGee might have lived a normal... He didn't live a normal life. He did not live a normal life. He was like an inner city kid with a lot of problems, right? He had he was an orphan, unhappy and uptight down and all this. And this book really changed me. And really great fucking book. Maniac McGee. Part of my childhood. Really changed who I was. Something to do with like just making do with whatever you have. He was an orphan. And he did stuff like live in gyms and places like that. Oh, now what happened here? This is some kind of combat. Oh yeah, but not my combat, yeah. Another, a Falcon, nice, yeah.
whatsoever. However, in 2021, the book was actually found. A YouTuber by the name of Wang made a video discussing this topic and the mystery surrounding it, and a commenter on this video was actually able to identify this book and put a name to it. The book these people were describing was actually a Dutch book from 1986
Super
called
Giles.
and the plot of this
I
book
think I
is
remember Super Giles, yeah.
actually about a kid who eats an abacus and then turns into a petrol pump. This book that many people believed was a false memory actually did exist. Masaru Emoto. Masaru Emoto is a Japanese businessman and author who's probably most well known for his theory that human consciousness can affect the molecular structure of water. His most popular book is called The Hidden Messages in Water, and it talks about this theory that human consciousness can affect the molecular makeup of water. He talks about a lot of different things in this book, but in this book he describes an experiment he ran that proves this theory to be true. In this experiment, he had multiple and separate samples of water, and what he did is he exposed some of the samples of water to uplifting and positive and happy thoughts and words, and he exposed some samples of the water to negative and hateful and evil thoughts and words. And the water that was exposed to positive and uplifting thoughts and words developed into visually beautiful crystalline structures when frozen, but the water samples that were exposed to negative and hateful thoughts and words developed ugly and gross crystalline structures when frozen. Of course, the results of this experiment are usually not accepted. People have asked Emoto to run this experiment again in a more controlled scientific setting, and he never did. So most people chalk up the results of this experiment to manipulation and human error. Carl H. Carl H was a popular online programming and web design instructor who had a pretty big following on Reddit and had a pretty big YouTube channel. On Reddit, he would frequent programming and computer science boards and offer tips and help to users on the board. And on his YouTube channel, he would give programming and web design tutorials. Well, in November of 2013, the man fell completely silent on Reddit and on his YouTube channel. And around this same time, a local news outlet in Alabama started writing articles about a guy by the name of Carl Harold who was arrested for and distribution. Well, it turned out Carl Harold, this well-liked computer science guy, was actually running a ring in his basement the entire time, and he even held his own 9-year-old son captive in his basement for 8 months. He was convicted of his crimes and sent to life in prison, but reportedly on November 3rd, he was found dead inside his cell at Clay County Jail. The reports say that he ended his own life, and this seems like it would be the end of the story, but it might not be. All the people around Carl Harold were really surprised by him taking his own life. In fact, Carl Harold's own lawyer was reportedly even surprised, and so this leads to, in November of 2016, Carl H's Reddit account started making posts again. These posts claim that Carl Harold faked his own death, escaped jail, and is now living in Russia. You know, some people thought these posts signaled that Carl H was still alive.
Your skill has increased.
Logged back into his Reddit account, but shortly after these posts started happening, Carl H's Reddit account fell silent again. And nowadays, most people believe that a hacker got a hold of Carl H's account and he was making these posts.
Your skill has
this entry
increased.
is referring to this online repository of malware you can download called The Zoo. This repository has a ton of different live malwares, and if you were to download one of these malwares irresponsibly and not handle it,
Your skill has
you
increased.
totally have some problems with your computer. Most people say that this repository is used for malware research purposes. It's a zoo of malware. Red Smile Group. So Red Smile Group is a very interesting thing. So from what I can tell though, Red Smile Group is a person or a group of people that make really weird and really low quality memes. Like a lot of the memes made by Red Smile Group are barely even jokes. They're not funny usually. They have like Facebook mom humor to the point where it almost seems ironic, but I don't think it is. When you need to run, you'll be glad you trained. What does this mean? All of these memes made by Red Smile Group have this specific red font, and they always have a watermark for extraordinarylinks.com. What's probably most interesting about these memes made by Red Smile Group is just the sheer amount of them. There's a user on Reddit who goes by Red Smile Group, and this user owns a subreddit that's also called Red Smile Group, and he'll make like 3 or 4 posts a day on this subreddit. This user who goes by Red Smile Group, beyond being active on their own subreddit, is also active on a bunch of other subreddits too. I've seen some people accuse Red Smile Group of being a bot of some sort, but he always responds to these accusations by saying that he's not a bot and he just has a weird sense of humor. If you go to the website that's featured in the watermark on all of these memes, extraordinarylinks.com, it's literally just a website that features links to other websites. Like the homepage of this website features links to Gmail, YouTube, Reddit, Twitter, Facebook, but this website does seem to run ads, so maybe this Red Smile Group thing is just kind of an advertisement campaign for this website so they can make money. I ended up finding an email associated with Red Smile Group, and I shot them an email asking them what Red Smile Group is, and as of me making this video, I haven't gotten a response. As far as I can tell, I think Red Smile Group is just a person who has kind of a weird sense of humor and likes posting memes on the internet, and maybe also these memes are trying to advertise through the website extraordinarylinks.com so they can make money off of the ads that run on the website. And although the name Red Smile Group would suggest that it's multiple people behind Red Smile Group, I do think it's just one person. Devourment. So this entry is referring to a Skyrim mod called Devourment that integrates Vor. I've talked about Vor in one of my previous videos, but I'm going to give you a quick recap on what it is. I don't think showing pictures of this would be considered NSFW, but I'm going to play it safe and blur it anyway. Basically, this fetish is centered around a person eating another person whole and then holding them in their stomach, and then it makes their stomach bulge out because there's a person inside of their stomach. People say that they like this for a lot of different reasons, but most people say that they like it due to how intimate it looks. Anyway, this Skyrim mod called Devourment originally was propagated on a popular Vor website called Arion.com. The mod was made by a user by the name of Vegan. The thing about this user named Vegan is he wanted nobody to make any edits to his mod, and he wanted to have a tight grip on the mod and control how it was being used and how people treated it. One of his key beliefs of this mod is that he did not want people to edit the mod so that people could play as male characters and Vor people as a male. He only wanted people to play as female characters. Vegan actually was able to control this mod pretty well and make sure nobody was making edits to it until in 2015, where he had to leave the Vor community. When he left the Vor community, he made this post. Many of you are probably wondering why I haven't updated this topic since November. The answer isn't one I enjoy giving, so let's make a long story as short as possible. Over the Thanksgiving weekend, several of my relatives discovered my fetish. I've managed to hide it for almost 30 years because I knew exactly the reaction it would get. Saying that these aren't the most open-minded individuals is like calling the ocean somewhat damp. Without going into much detail, my career would be utterly demolished if this information got out. My relatives know this, and they are the sort who would use it as a bargaining chip. Now I find
Your skill
myself
has
in the
increased.
unenviable position of having to pretend to have been born again through the grace of Christ and cured of my fetish, lest my fundamentalist siblings destroy my future in the name of saving my soul. In any case, I can continue to develop Devourment until I find a way out of this humiliating situation. If, hopefully when things change, I fully intend to return. Until then, after Vegan made this post, he left the Vor community, and when he left the Vor community, he left the Devourment mod in the hands of another user by the name of Sidero Mullane. Vegan entrusted that Sidero Mullane would make sure that nobody would make any edits to the Skyrim Vor mod while he was gone. Now, Sidero Mullane was actually pretty good at controlling the Skyrim Vor mod for a while. For nearly 4 years, he made sure nobody made any edits to the mod. But in 2019, 4 years after Vegan left the Vor community, he did start letting people make edits to the Vor mod. Not surprisingly, one of the first edits to the mod that was made was an edit that made it so people could play as male characters, something that went against the creator's initial vision of the mod. Surprisingly, in 2020, Vegan, the creator of this mod in the first place, returned to the Vor community, and his return was marked by this post. When Family Matters forced me to leave this community 5 years ago, I entrusted Sidero Mullane with Devourment source code under the condition that my single request for its use be respected. Namely, that my work would not be edited to allow male predators. Clearly, they betrayed that trust. I hate to be so blunt, but as the creator of this intellectual property, I must insist that this unauthorized redistribution of my work be either removed or brought into compliance. So after the creator of this mod came back, he was pretty mad that people were making edits to it and adding male characters. And so he tried to get back control of the mod and remove any of the edits that were made to it that added male characters. But the people in the Vor community at this point weren't putting up with it and didn't give him back control of the mod. And they basically bullied him off of this website, Global Mind. So this entry is pretty out there, so please bear with me. What this entry is referring to is the idea that there is a global consciousness. So the idea of a global consciousness is that, so, you know, everybody on the planet has a consciousness, and everybody's consciousness will come together to make a global consciousness. This global consciousness is kind of an amalgamation of everybody's consciousness, and this global consciousness can affect and change the real world. Like, for example, if the global consciousness at one particular moment is kind of happy and in a good mood, real life good things will start happening. But if the global consciousness for some reason is in more of a bad mood, bad real life things will start happening. The idea of this global consciousness has been researched by a group called the Global Consciousness Project. The Global Consciousness Project was actually started by a guy by the name of Roger D. Nelson. Roger D. Nelson actually worked at Princeton University for a while. So the Global Consciousness Project wanted to figure out if the global consciousness is real and if it can actually have an effect on the real world. And so the way they went about trying to test if the global consciousness is real is all around the world they set up a bunch of electronic random number generators, and typically these random number generators would do exactly what their name suggests, generate numbers randomly. But according to the findings of the Global Consciousness Project, when there were large world-scale events taking place that would grab the attention of people all over the world all at once and would be on the minds of people all over the world all at once, there would be discrepancies within the random number generation. So most infamously, the Global Consciousness Project said that during the events of September 11th, the random number generators that they set up stopped generating numbers randomly. They said that the random number generators started showing patterns in their number generation. And they said that this suggests that there is a global consciousness and it can have an effect on the physical real world. So the idea is, since the events of September 11th were so prominent and so well known, it had an effect on the global consciousness. And this change in the global consciousness ultimately had an effect on these random number generators around the world, thus proving that the global consciousness is real. Now, of course, independent scientists have looked into these findings of the Global Consciousness Project and determined that the Global Consciousness Project might be kind of fudging the numbers when talking about this shift in random number generation. It turns out that maybe there wasn't actually a shift in the random number generation. Instead, the researchers were finding patterns and making connections where they really shouldn't have. Of course, there are some real believers in this idea of the global consciousness, and it's the basis for a lot of different conspiracy theories. XCCR. XCCR is a website that has a puzzle on it that's gone unsolved for nearly 16 years. The website was launched in 2006, and it features a terminal where you can type numbers and letters into. Some combinations of letters and numbers allow you to progress to a next phase of this puzzle, but no one's been able to get very far into it. Some people believe that this website is related to Half-Life 2 or the Lost series in some way. Some people think this website is related to Half-Life 2 because there's a billboard in Half-Life 2 that reads XCCR, and a computer terminal that can be found in Half-Life 2 looks very similar to the one found on this website. And some people think this website is related to Lost because a code that's in the show allows you to progress on this website. No one is really certain what's going on with this website though, and if it is really supposed to be
Your
related
skill
to
has
Half-Life
increased.
2 or Lost. Hidden Answers. Hidden Answers was a dark web message board. The website was basically like Quora, except there were no rules on what you could talk about, and the moderators on the website were super relaxed. You could get away with asking pretty much any question on this website. And so on this website, you could find people asking questions like, what's the quickest way to kill someone? Or what are some good money laundering options? At some point in 2021, the website went down, and in its place was just a message from the creator saying that he wanted to move on to projects that were more profitable and not as draining. The Sound of Soul. So there's this religion called Ekankar that was founded by a man by the name of Paul Twitchell in 1965. The beliefs of this religion are kind of a mix of a bunch of other religions, but one of the most notable and talked about aspects of this religion is one of their religious practices that they use to connect to God. Within the Ekankar religion, there's this practice where large groups of people will congregate together and on repeat sing the word Hugh for extended periods of time. They'll do this for 20 or 30 minutes, and sometimes even longer. Within Ekankar, the term Hugh means God, and it's spelled H-U and is pronounced Hugh. And the idea is that when large groups of people congregate together and say this, it helps them connect to God better. This religious practice sounds really interesting. I think the reason this entry is called The Sound of Soul is because on the Ekankar Religion's official website, there's a page called The Sound of Soul that explains this religious practice. NWO Killers. This is a website that covers various different conspiracy theories. All the conspiracy theories covered on this website are pretty run-of-the-mill and nothing really too notable. The main theory that this website pushes is that Nazi Germany is going to rise again and start World War III and create a new world order. Runs in the Family. Runs in the Family is a fan fiction that features a lot of popular Minecraft YouTubers. It features a lot of different members from the Dream SMP, if you're familiar with that group of people. As far as Minecraft YouTuber fan fictions go, it's actually not that bad. It's pretty painful to read, but there's stuff that's way worse than this out there. You are watching.me and instacam.org. So you are watching.me and instacam.org are websites. What instacam.org does is sometimes when people install security cameras, they'll forget to change the default password that's needed to connect to this camera. And since the default password for these security cameras is actually information that's made public by the manufacturer.
Oh, I got killed. God damn it, I did get killed. It's alright.
Connect to just using the default password.
I was
and so
AFK.
what this website does is it allows you to watch a bunch of CCTV cameras from around the world that it can connect to because the owners forgot to change the default
Oh, I gotta
password.
drop stuff
Wasn't
now.
able to find a lot of information on this other website listed in this entry, youarewatching.me. I was
Got some
eventually
fire
able to find
crystals,
an
that's good.
article on Vice about this website. Apparently youarewatching.me was a kind of art project where the website would cycle through live footage of security cameras that didn't have their passwords changed and people could just gain access to, and the website would cycle through this footage and put it to music. Number stations. A number station is a very good form of discrete communication. Typically, the way a number station works is there will be a radio station that will transmit a radio broadcast of someone reading off a list of numbers and letters. Now, for the average person who's just tuning into this radio station, the numbers and letters that are being read off on this broadcast will sound completely random to you and seem as though they have no meaning. But these numbers and letters that are being read off are actually an encoded message, and there are people out there who are working with this number station who have a cipher that they can use to decode this message and receive messages from this number station. Number stations have been used by many different governments as a form of communication over the years. There are examples of countries sending spies over the border into other countries and then using number stations to communicate over the border discreetly. Beyond just governments using number stations to communicate, there's also evidence of drug cartels using number stations to communicate and terrorist organizations using number stations to communicate.
Number stations, huh?
To record some number stations and often.
Here's a cool one. Let's learn about number stations, huh? Most of this is utter bullshit, but that one's cool. Number stations. The fuck? Let's learn about that. Sure. Okay.
Today's video is
Today I found out. Okay, subscribe. Thank you. Today I found out I'd like to sub to your channel. Oh yeah, we were looking at this Terra thing, huh? So Terra CZ. It's a PvE server, huh? The only true action combat. What the fuck are you talking about? New World's got action combat. Fuck. It's like so much better than Terra. Speaking of which, I probably have been kicked. Yeah. Get back in. I hate your fucking log out. Nice. My fishing rod. Yeah, I got 25k. Sweet. Well, let's put this stuff away. 65 out of 80. Nice. We're getting up there. There's some money. No, I actually need you to sort. Did you do it? I don't think you did. Oh, yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. Oh, no. I just didn't dump it in is what it is. Beast missiles. Maybe I should make my attempt on Wings of Fury. It wouldn't be hard. Should make an attempt. I mean, I just now pulled that. I don't see why not. Let's go make an attempt on Wings of Fury, huh? I should buy. I forget. Let's go look at FFXI food effects or effects. Let's see. And really, yeah, we're looking for the sum page on this one because it's really good. Your connection isn't private. I don't. What do you mean web page? Okay, whatever. Food effects, right? Looking for the FFXI wiki. Sure. That we're looking for charisma food. You don't have it. No. Okay, I don't know what you don't. I guess you're scared of that page. Okay. Well, I'm looking for charisma. CHR. Imperial omelet. FTY tuna sushi. Taco. Tuna sushi. Tuna sushi is probably the cheapest solution. Tuna sushi or a Tav salad. Tav salads are probably better. Yeah, Tav salad would be better, but they're expensive. But I bet tuna sushi isn't bad. A stack of tuna sushi is probably reasonable. Let's go see. Maybe. That's like the best we can get for charisma, huh? Yeah. Charisma's hard to come by. But I mean,